Cats. Yep. Cats is directed by Tom Hooper and stars a bunch of people, including newcomer Francesca Hayward, Jennifer Hudson, Jason Derulo, Ian McKellen, Judi Dench. The list goes on. Cats tells the story of a group of cats called the Jellicle Cats who are competing to be chosen by Old Deuteronomy, who's like the oldest cat, to be chosen to have a new life and be sent to this place called the Heaviside Layer. By now, you have heard a lot about this movie, a lot of bad things, and most of them are right. Yeah, this is a pretty bad movie. There's not going to be a review where I'm totally trashing the movie or screaming at the top of my lungs about how terribly terrifying this movie is. I mean, I am going to get into why it's bad, but I feel like, a different perspective than I feel like a lot of people may have, so stick around. So if you are here to see me scream and freak out about this movie, then you're probably not going to be as, you may be a little disappointed. If that's what you're looking for, then I guess click away from this video, but I'm just telling you how I see it and how I saw it. And so yeah, let's get into it. So let's actually start with what I think worked. And there's like a tiny bit of things that I think not necessarily worked, but maybe had potential to be good. These are things that are like not great things, like best things ever. These are just things that in this movie made the most sense or had the most potential to be better if there was better writing, better designs, stuff like that. So let's talk about it. I think there are about two characters that I think made the most sense, or that I could follow their story throughout the movie. And there are a lot of characters in this movie. And those two for me were Macavity and Grisabella. I think theirs is like the most clear. Their stories are the most clear in terms of where they started, where they end up, what their backstory of sorts is. Like, I kind of understood theirs the most. But again, that's not saying much because a lot of this movie didn't make sense. And a lot of it is about characters explaining who they are. But I think these two, for me, had the most of an arc. As much of an arc as you could get in this movie. And now, music. Music, I think, I should preface this with, one, I've never seen the play. I've only seen renditions of this story of Cats, parodies of it, actually, if you will, from shows like Everybody Hates Chris and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Otherwise, I have not seen the original material of Cats at all. So keep that in mind as you're listening to this review. But I think the music, not all the lyrics made sense. But I'll admit some songs were a little catchy. Not in terms of lyrics and stuff, but melody-wise, like the music, I think had potential. And there's some catchiness to it, but I didn't love all the songs. Now, the one I think that really did, like, I don't want to say blow me away, but I thought was the best of them was Memory, which was sung by Jennifer Hudson. And of course, it's Jennifer Hudson, so of course it's not going to sound terrible. But overall, songs were kind of for me. There's some catchy moments, but a lot of them were just characters explaining who they were. They would go too fast, so I didn't really fully get everything, which later made me more confused when characters were talking about certain things, because I'm like, you said that in your song, but you were singing it the whole time, so I didn't really hear what you were talking about, which is another thing. Of course, it's a musical, but I like musicals when there's music, but they give you time in between, like with dialogue, and they explain some things, and they work on the story instead of just throwing songs at you constantly. Like, Disney does not do that. Disney, with their animated films, with some of the live action stuff, there may be songs, but the songs aren't necessarily the focus. They'll have the song, and then they'll talk about stuff in between. Characters will talk. Things will happen. So you know what the story is, that you're following the story. In this movie, I don't think necessarily had that. So, music overall was not terrible. And then lastly, I think the other thing that worked for me is, I'm going to get to the CGI creatures and stuff, but take the CGI creatures out of this, right? The cats, the little mice people, little roach people. And in terms of scenery, I thought it was decent. Like, the CGI backdrops, I know a lot of people putting their focus on the characters and stuff, but in terms of the backdrops and the colors, I think that actually kind of looked nice, decent. Like, really, take away the characters, whatever, all the creepy looking people, and you have these nice neon kind of things, like really colorful, vibrant, and I think generally nice design. Generally, again, Don't attack me like, oh my gosh, Chris is defending Cats. No, I'm not. I'm just acknowledging things that I think slightly worked or had potential to be better. All right? Now let's get into what didn't work, which I kind of already touched on earlier. What didn't work? Story. Again, never saw the musical, but I feel like in a movie adaptation, this is your chance to fix things that maybe the play didn't do right. And from what I've heard from people who've seen the play, is that the story did not make sense there either. So I think this movie could have had the opportunity to really polish it, make it more clear, make it more streamlined so that when people go to the movies and watch it, it all makes sense. And again, the characters who I think had the best story or the one that made the most sense were Macavity and Grisabella, right? Macavity being the villain and Grisabella kind of having a redemption story. Those two, I think, had the most potential or made the most sense. Everybody else was kind of just there. You spend a lot of the movie with Francesca Hayward's cat. I don't even remember her name. I don't remember a lot of the names. And she's kind of just walking around, running into other cats who sing about who they are. And after a while, that kind of just got repetitive and sometimes boring too, because again, the songs are going on and on. They're talking about this and that, but I'm not following what they're saying. And so I'm lost by the end of this movie. And again, there's only a few things that totally clicked at the end of this movie. Next thing, we'll get into it, the designs. You've probably heard so much about it. I mean, from the beginning trailers of this movie, people were freaking out because these things looked weird. These cats looked weird. They had cat bodies, but very human faces. And I'll admit, in terms of CGI, they polished it a little bit more from the trailer to the movie, so it didn't look absolutely dreadful. And then on top of that, there was another edit, which I think that's the version I saw, is the version that they fixed certain things, because in the weekend release, like when this movie first came out, there were screenshots and pictures and videos of some really weird stuff. And when I went to go see it, I didn't see that stuff necessarily. So I think I saw the fixed version. But even still, the designs are just weird. And I'm just talking about the cats. I think by the time I went to see this movie, the cats didn't faze me as much. I was kind of used to it because I had been seeing trailers on TV in the movie theater. So I think I was prepared for that. What I was not prepared for was the little roach people and the little mice people, like these other creatures in this world that were even creepier than the cats, which I didn't think was possible. And that was kind of disconcerting. And certain elements of the cats that I didn't know were coming in, like, you probably heard it already, but Rebel Wilson's character can literally unzip her skin off, and then she has another outfit under, like her fur, but then there's a like little coat thing and skirt, pink glittery skirt thing, whatever. And just seeing that unzipping thing was just really weird. That was probably the creepiest thing for me. And so that, I think, is something that they could have also done better from translating it to the movies, is changing the designs. Now, in the play, they are humans dressed as cats, yes, but I think they lean more towards cats because you see, like, they have their noses painted, they have the whiskers, they have a little more fur. Whereas this one, they were trying to make it more even, which I don't think was the best choice, because you see cat bodies, but they'll have human hands, human feet, human noses. They do kind of have whiskers and they kind of have fur, but they, again, don't fully commit to it, which just gives you this uncanny valley. And so it's really, for a lot of people, was hard to watch because it's just so creepy, and the things they're doing, the way they move around, the way they're built just doesn't look natural, which is just really freaky. So I get that. Now, again, it didn't look as bad in the movie itself, but it's still something like, why would you do that? One other thing that kind of was confusing for me was the logistics of the world that these cats were in. It was unclear, is this some other dimension? Is this some magical place? Is this the real human world? Because I think in the beginning, you see Francesca Hayward's character get thrown out in a bag, and it looked like it was a human doing that, but then all of a sudden the perspectives shift, and then they're back to being tiny cats. There's also a mention of a dog. You hear a dog, but you don't see it, and you don't know the size of the dog. So it makes me wonder, are these real cats? Not the real cats, how do I put this? Are these like cats hanging out in a neighborhood? Are these stray cats? And maybe they're like in their imagination, they're imagining all this stuff, but really they're regular cats, like someone walks by and it's a bunch of random stray cats on the street prancing around? Or is this some weird alternate dimension? That part also was not very clear. And music, I think, like I said, it could be better with, well, less songs, maybe, like take out some of the songs because I don't think they're all necessary. Focus more on the story. have the songs kind of as, not as the exposition itself. You know, the songs should be their own thing. They kind of should be like seasoning. It should be more about the dialogue and the story. And after a while, because of the music, because of the weird story, this was just kind of boring to me. There's a point in the movie where I forgot what was even happening. I was kind of sitting there, I was kind of yawning, like, what is the point of this? And then the ending comes, and I'm like, okay, that was kind of okay. But overall, it was Now, is it the worst movie I've seen ever? I don't think so. At least not yet. I have to think about it. But it was weird. There were a lot of missed opportunities here for them to correct problems that were in the original play. Some of the songs were and the character designs, of course, you've heard, are just out of this world. The verdict. I think Cats is weak sauce.
Yuck!
Now, I'm gonna give a second rating. In terms of meme quality, Cats is a masterpiece. If anything, one thing that this definitely did right is opened up so many memes. I mean, once this thing comes out on DVD, I'm sure, I mean, there are already some memes out there now, but imagine when this thing comes on DVD and VOD, oh my goodness, it's gonna be a meme goldmine. So that, I think they did right, but otherwise, this is not a great movie. I mean, it probably is, I would say, one of the worst of the year, but it's just really weird. So have you seen Cats? What did you think about it? Did you absolutely despise it? Did you think it was not as bad as people were saying? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video, share, and subscribe. And actually, this is probably gonna be my last formal review of 2019, so thank you all for watching since about May. My first one was John Wick Chapter 3, and a bunch of people saw that, but now I've had a lot more reviews. I've come a long way. I've looked back at old videos and I'm like, wow, why was I doing that? But I've definitely seen how much I've grown, and I see people coming to watch my videos, and so I'm just so thankful, and I'm excited to see where this all goes. I have some big plans coming for 2020, so I'm really excited to share that stuff with you. I'm gonna talk about more movies, do some more shorts, and some other things, so look out for those. Thank you so much for watching my videos this year. I will see you next year in the next one. But actually, one more video this year. Stay tuned.